Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Afterlife of Holly Chase. We left off in chapter 21, where Holly had just found out that she was basically like a case study for Stephanie, that Stephanie knew all about her from the very beginning. So, let's hop back into the story and see how it goes. The Afterlife of Holly Chase, chapter 22. 3 days before Christmas, 72 hours before the big night, I took Ethan to the Angelica. It would normally have been too risky since it was indoors and Dave could feasibly access any indoor security camera in the city. But early in the evening, I used my hoodie to go around the theater and disable all the cameras. Now they were experiencing technical difficulties, so Ethan and I were off the grid. Plus, the Angelica was across town from Ethan's usual hunts, and the company would never think to look for him there. According to his schedule, he was playing racquetball at the club, and Dave's team had relaxed a lot since we'd officially decided to stop looking for Victoria Scott. This is the best theater in Manhattan, I told Ethan as we climbed the steps to the ticket booth. It's kind of old school and classic, and it always plays the best films. The smaller films that nobody else bothers to see. Ethan paid for our tickets, to my dad's movie, of course. It was still playing there once a week. This is nice, he's commented as we went inside, where there was a charming cafe set up with little wire tables and chairs, like something you see on the streets of Paris. But it's out of the way, don't you think? There's got to be a good movie theater farther uptown. But they have the best scones here, I pointed up. And look. The ceiling had been painted to resemble a blue sky just before sunset, the clouds all touched with gold. Right in the middle hung a large crystal chandelier that had been highlighted with strips of blue neon, so the whole thing gave off a kind of electric blue vibe. I love that chandelier. It's cool, Ethan said. He seemed uneasy for some reason, or maybe he was picking up on how nervous I was. I'm glad you could finally go out again, he said after we loaded up on freshly squeezed lemonade and scones. We're okay, right? He obviously worried that I was mad about the line thing. Yeah, I murmured. Of course I wasn't mad. I've been in such a funk since the whole episode of Roe. And now Stephanie, who had turned out to be a fake friend. It was good seeing Ethan. So heartbreakingly, unbelievably good. I wanted to grab him and hold on to him and never let him go. But part of me wondered if this would be the last time we would get to see each other as Ethan and Victoria. If everything went as planned, Ethan would be spending Christmas joyfully running around telling everyone, Merry Christmas, and trying to make everything right. And then maybe everything would be right. And he'd have his family back, Jack and his mom and his grandmother, and he'd be real friends with them, and he'd have a better life. But I knew it would be a life without me. I couldn't kid myself about it anymore. The point of Project Screw was to change someone inside and out. And when he was changed, Ethan wouldn't be the same. We wouldn't be the same. It'd be over. And it was a great idea to go to a movie, Ethan said. We've never been to a movie together. It's kind of, I don't know, normal for you. I can be normal. We sat down at one of the little tables and sipped at our lemonade. I'm amazing at being normal. Yeah, you're so humble too, Ethan said. Well, you know, vices are sometimes only virtues carried to excess. I said another one of Bob's favorite Dickens sayings. Ethan's eyebrows came together. Who said that? Some old dead guy. It was almost time for the movie. We gathered up our food and headed down the escalator to the basement, which was decorated with various artworks that depicted New York City, huge old movie posters, and my favorite, an old wooden rabbit that used to be part of the Coney Island Carousel. The basement were where all the individual theaters were. Evangeline's Well was in theater too. Ethan wanted to sit in the very back. So do you have plans for Christmas? He asked as we settled in our seats. My heart started pounding just thinking about it. Christmas. 3 days away. I don't do Christmas, I said. I refuse to participate on principle. The corner of his mouth lifted. You hate Christmas too, huh? Why? My birthday, I admitted. He paused with his cup of lemonade halfway to his lips. Your birthday is on Christmas? How did I not know that? It's the day after Christmas, I corrected. December 26th, which is the worst possible day to have a birthday. It was just awful when I was a kid. Everyone was always so fixated on Christmas, they forgot about me. I never got to have my class sing me happy birthday or hang out cupcakes, or if my parents threw a party, nobody ever came because they all had like Christmas hangover. Poor baby, Ethan said with a smirk, and I swung at him like I was going to punch him. He laughed. Anyway, I hate Christmas. I agree, said Ethan, taking a bite of the scone. Christmas blows. It always feels to me like people are playing a game on Christmas. The let's make it a deal about nothing game. They don't know when baby Jesus was really born, do they? No, it's like everything else is made up. It's not like it's even about religion anyway, I added. At least not that I ever saw. It's about the presents and the pageantry and the annoying freaking songs. He nodded and smiled, glad to have a partner in disliking the holidays. So, do you have plans for Christmas? I asked him. Ethan rolled his eyes. Not really. My grandmother's throwing a Christmas party as usual. She invited me, but I hate Christmas parties. They're the worst, I agreed. And my sister's going to be there, so I'm definitely not going to go. I was quiet for a minute like I was digesting all of this. So, you have a sister? I arched an eyebrow at him. You told me that you were an only child, remember? He gave an embarrassed laugh. Wishful thinking. I haven't seen her in forever. Maybe you should go, I said lightly, but of course I knew he wouldn't. Dave would have to bring him there to watch the party invisibly. He shook his head. No way. My sister used to be cool and we hung out all the time. But now, all she does is act like I'm a big disappointment to her. But I'm a realist and I like having money and I'm planning to take over the business when I'm old enough. And my sister says that materialistic and she says I'm like my grandfather. And she doesn't really want to have anything to do with that world. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having money, I said. That's what makes the world go round, I always say. He grinned. You're a girl after my own heart, Tori. I know, Ethan, I thought. I know. But family is important, I said. It's like the most important thing. Believe me, I wish I could spend time with my family again. You mean besides your dad? My dad? I stared at him for a few seconds before I understood he meant Victoria's dad, who didn't exist. Oh, right. Well, my dad's a piece of work. So, what I'm hearing is, you don't have plans for Christmas, and I don't have plans for Christmas, he pointed out. Do you want to not have plans for Christmas together? I leaned over to kiss him. Why don't we play it by ear? I can never pin you down, can I? He laughed. The lights dim. What's this movie supposed to be about anyway? I took a deep breath. It was like I was actually bringing Ethan to meet my dad. It felt weird for me to see the movie this way, without my hoodie, not invisible, sitting next to someone I knew, waiting to see what he thought of something that was so important to me. It's about family, I said to answer his question. It's about how even when we know it's a mistake or that things are going to end badly, we still choose to fight for the people we love. So it's kind of a girl movie, right? Ethan said. I get points for taking you to a girl movie. I think it's more than a chick flick, I said. It's a statement about love and life and death and human nature and grief and... I was talking too much. I shut up. We sat through a couple of previews and then the movie began to play. The screen faded from black to the opening image. The mayor's daughter wearing a long red dress, staring at her own reflection in the well. Then the picture changed, shifting to show all the different features that Evangeline saw when she looked into the water. Evangeline, by the way, is my middle name. I glanced over at Ethan, taking in the way the screen glowed on his face and reflected back in his eyes. It was so unreal. Ethan watched my dad's movie. My dad's name was up there on the screen and his company, GCP, Gideon Chase Productions. I shivered. Ethan put his arm around me. See? When she looks in the well, she can see all her possible futures. I whispered close to his ear. And if you look closely, pay attention. There's a flash where you can see the actual end of the movie when her father saves her. There, did you see it? You just told me the end of the film, he laughed. Spoiler alert. Oh, I'm so sorry, I said. We watched for a few more minutes, but it's kind of obvious, isn't it? That her dad's going to save her, I mean. It's predictable. Not in a bad way, though. It's like it's meant to be. It's all moving toward this inevitable outcome. You want to know what's inevitable? He kissed me. I let him for a minute, but then I pulled back. You have to watch this part, where the monster gets her. The look on her father's face when they tell him, it kills me every time. Ethan was looking at me strangely. How many times have you seen this movie? Shh. An old lady a few rows in front of us turned around and gave us both a disapproving glare. 6. No, 7. 7.5, I whispered. He leaned in again. So you can stand to miss some. No. I put my hand on my chest and pushed him back. You need to see this. Why? He looked annoyed more than anything else. He seriously thought we were only here to suck face in the back row. Boys, unbelievable. Because it's important, I burst out. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. He was supposed to love my dad's movie. We were supposed to be able to talk about it later. And then we'd actually be talking about my dad. We were supposed to connect about something real, something that was mine and not Victoria's. You already told me the ending, he pointed out. But it isn't about the ending. Shh, insisted the lady. It's fine. I'm leaving. I stood up and pushed my way in front of people's feet down the row. Ethan cursed and followed me out. What is wrong with you? He said as soon as we were out in the hall. What is wrong with you? I shot back, fighting tears, and suddenly I couldn't stop thinking about Ro. Ro and her stupid boyfriend meeting her stupid auntie in the stupid little house with their stupid future. All I was ever going to have with Ethan was the present, tonight. And he wouldn't even watch my dad's movie. He didn't care about it. And I couldn't tell him why it mattered because I couldn't tell him who I was. Tori, stop. He grabbed my hand. I'm sorry. I don't understand what's going on exactly. But we can go back in there if you want. I'll watch the movie. I'll be good. I dashed the furious tears off my face with the back of my hand. No, you're right. It's a girl movie, and you're not a girl. I grabbed him by the shoulders and kissed him. He was surprised but kissed me back. Within minutes, we sneaked into the empty theater next to the one we started out in and were full on making out. I let our hands roam where they may and tried to make everything else go away. But Ethan, his lips on mine, his heart beating, thudding under my hand when I laid it against his chest, his clean, sophisticated smell, his soft hair, the way his hands felt on the bare skin of the back of my arm. I tried to lose myself in Ethan while my dad's movie played in the theater next to us, and Evangeline and her father played out their tragic story. I kissed Ethan, but I couldn't have him. Not for real, not for good. Ethan pulled away. Whoa, okay, whoa, what the? I was crying again. Solid tears were streaming down my face. Ethan shook his head, stunned. This was the part where I turned into the crazy girl, obviously. Victoria. Holly, 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 Holly. I cried even harder. Is it that time? He asked slowly. That time, I sniffled. Oh, I smacked him and bolted out of there. Tori, wait, Tori. He called after me when I was halfway up the escalator to the main floor. He ran up the stationary stairs in the middle and tried to keep pace with me. Come on, what did I do? So what if I'm emotional? I can't have a good reason, I yelled. He threw up his hands. So tell me the reason, tell me. But I couldn't. So I just got off the escalator and headed for the door. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have brought you here. Ethan trailed after me, angry now. You never tell me anything, he said when he got to the street. You don't let me take you to the picture. You don't call me. You don't bring me back to where it is you live. Sometimes I feel like I don't even know who you are. I'm not complaining and I'm not asking to meet your dad, Tori, or get his blessing or anything. But I just want to point out that you're the one who's holding back here. You're the one who doesn't tell me things, says the guy who told me that his parents were happily married, but they just traveled a lot. I scoffed. You didn't tell me about your dad. His jaw tightened. I didn't tell you about my dad. I shouldn't have brought up his dad. I knew it the minute the words flew out of my mouth. Ethan. I reached for him. My hand brushed his cheek, and suddenly I saw it. After all that time I spent sifting through his memories, trying to crack the dad thing, what his father's death had meant to him. It was there, with no transducer and no lavender mist and no REM state, that I could finally see. In the memory, he was standing in front of the coffin. It was covered with flowers, and the sweet, overpowering smell of them almost sickening him. His eyes were bleary. He put his hand on the shining wood. "Dad," he whispered, "come back." My throat felt tight with tears, but I couldn't tell if they were his tears or mine. I couldn't tell if this was a memory or part of a dream he was having because of me. The pain of it was indescribable, almost unbearable. His chest felt like it was being cracked open. Some part of him was howling. A hand with purple polish on the fingernails came down next to Ethan on the casket. He looked up to see Jack's tear-streaked face. "Hey, buddy," she said hoarsely. "Where's Mom?" he asked, but he knew his mother was at the other end of the room, hidden by an ever-shifting group of people and busy doing whatever it was that they wanted her to do. "I want Mom." "I know," said Jack. "You've got me too, though, you know. You've always got me." He nodded. "You, children, get away from there," came a voice, and they both turned to see their grandfather in a black suit frowning at them so deeply it was almost a scowl. "Come," he said. "It won't do for you to hover over the dead." "The dead?" thought Ethan. "That's what my dad is now? The dead?" "I'm so sorry about your dad, Ethan," I whispered. Ethan stepped back, breaking our connection. His blue eyes were so cold now he reminded me of Ethan Sr., like he wasn't looking at me anymore, like he was seeing Jack when he said, "Leave me alone, you freak." He gave me a sarcastic smile. "Like I said, I'm not complaining. You're a beautiful girl, Victoria, and I enjoy every time we spend together, and it doesn't have to be more than that. I'm fine with how it is. I'm not heavy like you said. It's not serious." "No, it's serious," I argued. He checked his watch, like he actually had somewhere to be that wasn't with me. "I should go. It's been fun, but..." "Wait, it really hasn't been that fun. It could have been more fun, if you know what I mean." Now he was over the line. I sighed. "Look, don't be. You've always been this mystery, and at first that was hot, but I'm getting bored, and you're a little, I don't know, hot and cold." I closed my eyes. There wasn't anything I could do now. Nothing I could say to fix it. I couldn't tell him the truth, and I couldn't lie. But it didn't matter, because when I opened my eyes again, Ethan was gone.